Thank you for permission, Rob.
All right, welcome everybody to the first Toastmasters Cascade Speakeasy Electric Toasters meeting of November 2020. Can't believe it's already November. At this point, I'd like to ask Rob if he would lead us off in our Pledge of Allegiance.
I would be happy to, Mr. President. If everyone would please mute themselves and focus on my voice. And hopefully this is going to work. And repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Rob. At this point, I'd like to turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the evening, our resident comedian, Joyce Matheson. Please, everybody, welcome Joyce Matheson.
Thank you very much, but I don't think I'm the resident comedian. Everybody here is pretty funny. I would like to start out with a joke. It's a dumb joke, so you'll appreciate it. What has 3 letters and starts on gas? Car. The car starts on gas, or petrol, where Jackie's from. Let's get started. I'm going to review the program changes. Lloyd and Pat have switched roles. It looks like Lloyd is going to be the timer and Pat is going to be the counter. Other than that, I think everything looks great. It's good to have Lucas back. Hi, Lucas. I'm glad we didn't scare you off being the comedian and all. I'm going to start off by introducing our general evaluator, Rob Tidd.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Well, tonight, I'm very proud to say that we've assembled a crack team of unpaid professionals to present tonight's Toastmaster meeting. We're going to start off with our evaluators. Our first evaluator, number 1, is Christina Stelper. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. And Lucas, thanks for joining us again. This evening, I'll be evaluating Kathleen's speech. Her path is present a proposal. The purpose of her project is to practice developing and presenting a proposal. She tells me her specific purpose this evening is to survive giving the speech. She will deliver a well-organized speech about her proposal. It can be humorous, informational, or any style she chooses. However, the style of the speech should fit the content. That's something for us to look for as we give her comments on her speech. Her speech will be 5 to 7 minutes. I'll share my thoughts when called upon to do so. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
And thank you, Christina. Next on our team is our second evaluator. Please welcome Mary Syrie. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks for the nice welcome. I will be evaluating Jackie Graybill's speech tonight. Jackie is working on the path entitled Engaging Humor Pathway. She's on level 1 and she is giving the second of the 2 evaluation and feedback speeches. She gave the first speech earlier to her other club in England, and she's giving the improved speech for us tonight. So the purpose of this project is for the member to present its speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply this feedback to the second tonight's speech. Jackie will demonstrate that she is able to apply the feedback that she received from the first speech. By the way, this doesn't have to be a humorous speech. That's the path, but so far it can be of any topic. 5 to 7 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Mary. And tonight we have a third speech, which means we have a third evaluator. Our third evaluator this evening, even though it says Ron's iPad, it's actually Ron Slaybaugh. Welcome, Ron.
You know, Rob, I just realized with your voice, I like your voice quite a bit. And you remind me of this YouTube personality named Randy Santel. Look him up sometime. I don't necessarily like what he does. He's one of those professional eaters. So he'll eat ridiculous amounts of food for a living, but there's something about his personality that's addictive. And it just occurred to me listening to you without looking at you that you remind me of him. I'm looking down at Jackie and seeing her in her pajamas. I think that's kind of cool. I'm going to evaluate Vicky's speech tonight. Like you mentioned, this is for our meeting, we're actually have 3 speeches. I think this is the first time that we have had 3 speeches that I have been here. And it's 3 speeches, but for Vicky, this is her 4th icebreaker for Pathways for the Path Motivational Strategies. I like it when people do more than one icebreaker. It's pretty cool how creative they can get in delivering those speeches. And I look forward to what Vicky is going to do here. This is, of course, going to be a 4 to 6 minute speech. Back to you, Rob.
Thank you, Ron. Our next member of our team is our timer. And tonight, our timer is our very own Lloyd Smith. Welcome, Lloyd.
Thank you, Rob. My job is timing the speeches, which is probably why I'm called the timer. Timing is an underappreciated skill in speaking. Every one of us has been victimized one way or another, probably at a meeting, by somebody who just went on and on and on and on. And that can have dramatic consequences to a meeting as time gets taken away from the end of it. So tonight we have 3 different speeches. Let me see here. Kathleen and Jackie are both 5 to 7, right? Okay. So I have improvised timing indicators here because I didn't really think I was going to be the timer. Anyway, the green will be this ad for healthy cigarettes, plant-based menthol. So those of you who are thinking of taking up smoking, here is the all-natural organic option for you. The yellow signal at, that'll be at 5. The yellow signal at 6 will be this lovely file folder. And since I don't have anything red right here, it's going to be the top of our agenda for the red. Vicky's speech is 4 to 6, so 4, 5, and 6 for that. Table topics, assuming we get to them, are 1 to 2, so 1, 1.5, 2. Evaluations 2 to 3, so 2, 2.5, 3. Back to you, Rob.
Great. Thank you, Lloyd. Moving quickly along, we also have a grammarian this evening, our grammarian, Ian Adams. Welcome, Ian.
Thanks, Rob. My role tonight as the grammarian is to note any remarkable uses of the English language and report back later this evening. My other role is to alert everybody to what the word of the day is. And I went on Google and I was typing in, I typed in word of the day, and I wanted to see something that I hadn't heard before, something unique. The word of the day was eloquent. I thought, well, that's a word I've heard and I've used many times. And I decided to look at what the definition of eloquent was and decided it's a perfect word for a Toastmasters meeting. The definition of the adjective eloquent is clearly expressing or can't read my writing, clearly expressing or indicating something. Or the second definition was fluent or persuasive in speaking or writing. So let's see how eloquent we can be tonight in our table topics and speeches. I'll report back my grammarian report at the end of the evening. Thanks, Rob.
Eloquently placed in that part of tonight's meeting. Thank you, Ian. And last but not least on our team is the wizardress of odd counters. Please welcome Pat. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you very much. I will be looking for bloopers, all of those things that disable each speaker from being eloquent when they share their wonderful thoughts. And those are things like but, well, so, repetitions. I just did an when I'm Pat, or dropping the G on ing words. Those of you who do that know who you are. And we'll see how eloquent everyone can be. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Pat. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to our Toastmaster. Please welcome back Joyce Matheson.
Thank you. Very eloquently put, Rob. I'm going to start with our first speaker tonight. Kathleen is working on level 3 of her pathway, innovative planning. Today, she is making a project proposal. Her job is to select key information to present in a proposal to build a case with supporting evidence and realistic solutions. Her proposal is entitled The Barcelona of Eastern Washington.
Thank you. Good evening, Toastmasters, and guest. Hi, Lucas. Tonight, I would like you to imagine you are on the pedestrian promenade in Barcelona, Spain. As you walk along 3- and 4-story stone and brick buildings leap from the sidewalk, they draw your eye up to the beautiful iron balconies with the slightly open patio doors, making you wonder what is going on inside. Even more dazzling, the window boxes. They're full of nasturtiums, petunias, the oddly named creeping jennies, sweet potato vines. They dangle over the edge of the window box, full of color. Yellow, green, purple, orange, red. They coat the building in a jacket of beauty and fragrance. Down below, you have your shops. You have the coffee shop, you have the bakery, all of the places where you can stop in and relax. Wandering through the streets of Barcelona is just a joy for the senses.
Hey, baby.
Now, skip that and take yourself from Barcelona to Wenatchee, downtown Wenatchee. It might be a little disappointing in comparison, a little bit like expecting the Lexus SUV to be parked outside in front of the house at Christmas with a big red ribbon, and you open the door and it's a Chevy. Very drivable, but not really what you were expecting. Is our quaint downtown a problem that needs solving? Absolutely, yes. Not because it's a problem, but because it's an opportunity dangling in front of us, enticing us. And if we don't take this opportunity, it would just be a crime. What is the opportunity? You may have guessed by now. It's to have a pedestrian promenade in Wenatchee. I would place it on Wenatchee Avenue between First and Orondo. I would close all of that area off to automobile traffic and make it foot traffic only. Why would people come and enjoy that space? I envision people coming to walk there, locals, visitors, enjoying the outdoors. Like Barcelona, what we're creating is something that appeals to the senses. The beautiful flowers that might be dangling from the street lamps. At night, the crisscross lights that go across Wenatchee Avenue and shimmer at night. Oh, even better, in the morning, walking through the smell of coffee or pastries coming out of the oven. On the weekends, watching some locals play chess at an outdoor chessboard. or the cyclists who are walking their bicycles through after finishing the loop and visiting Pybus and then wandering up to our promenade. We're creating a feeling and an emotion that will attract people, and they'll come back over and over again. What does it mean for the businesses? I think businesses can tumble out of their confined spaces onto the sidewalks like they do now. We have Mila already doing that. We even have the Firehouse Pet Shop putting its wares outside. A great opportunity for micro businesses. A local person who might want to set up a flower shop just for the summer in a kiosk on our pedestrian promenade. Someone else who might want to do flowers and vegetables, selling them when they're at their peak in the best weather we have to offer. There is the issue of parking, but there have been many studies showing that there's plenty of parking in downtown, even if we lose the spots that are along the promenade. Are we ready for this economically? Interesting thing, I looked up the Chelan Douglas economic trends. I was shocked to learn that between 2008 and 2018, our individual per capita income rose 50%. In addition, the assessed value of our properties is rising, not like on a steep slope, but it's rising. And we know that because we're getting tax increases. We also have more permits being issued. There is COVID, but I think COVID works in our favor. I think people will want to come out of their urban environments, especially when they can remote work, and they'll be attracted to a place like Wenatchee. We already know that they are. I think COVID works in our favor. In summary, I see a beautiful Wenatchee pedestrian promenade flanked on the east by the Wenatchee River, the Pybus Market, crossing the railroad track, the development that's going to happen along Columbia, that's probably going to be mixed use, gradually uphill into the promenade itself, and then even further uphill into the beautiful historic neighborhoods. We have this swath then of an area in Wenatchee that people will be very attracted to and want to come and visit, locals and visitors alike. We could repine and allow development to happen as it might happen, or we can decide that we want to make a Wenatchee pedestrian promenade a hallmark of future development in our community. I say, let's do it. I'd love to know what you think, so feel free to send me a chat. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, that was marvelous. I'm so proud of you, Kathleen. Lloyd, would you kindly put 1 minute on the timer for us?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
That's 1 minute, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. It all started with Dracula. 13 years ago, Jackie auditioned for her first ever acting role, The Attendant, and was surprised when she was also cast as a vampire, Vixen. She went on to nab many roles in the city's thriving community theater scene. Here's Jackie to tell us why there are more actors at this Toastmaster meeting tonight than you think.
You're on mute.
I have a confession to make. I hear voices in my head. Does anyone know what method acting is? It's the idea that you put yourself totally into a role. You are not playing someone else. You are that someone else. The National Science Foundation ran some studies and they found that 80% of our self-talk and our thoughts is negative. 80% are negative and only 20% are positive. Also, 95% of all of our thoughts are repetitive thoughts. So I have two characters in my head. One that represents that 80% of the negative, and one that represents the other 20%. You've actually already met Peach Angelica, my inner cheerleader who represents that 20%. But you haven't met Brutista Dynasticus. She is very sure of herself, and she sounds like this because she knows what's up. So here's the thing about Brutista. She's very ancient in her programming, her worldview, and she is important. I don't want to get rid of her because she is the one that keeps me safe. When I go to step off that sidewalk and she says, look, there's a car coming, she keeps me alive. So she's important. But she also acts out of fear and for my safety. So if Brutista had her way, I would stay home. I wouldn't go out at all. I wouldn't talk to any dudes because you know what? They're just gonna hurt you like all of the other dudes have before, so it's not even worth it. Well, Brutista is getting her wish this week because the UK is going into lockdown on Thursday. I walked in and I started auditioning for the role. This was a fun role. I was going to be a Marvel Ann in Psycho Beach Party. There was only one problem. I would have to wear a bikini on stage. Because of this, I decided to do something horrible. I decided to run a 5K. And I was not a runner. But I finished that 5K and I thought, you know what? I wonder if I can do a 10K. And I finished that and I thought, should we do a half marathon? And Peach Angelica said, girl, we totally can do that. Wait a minute, is that Brutista? No. She said, girl, you can do that. And you know what happened during that half marathon? During that half marathon, she was edging me on and she was saying, you can do it. Look at those people. They're holding signs for you and they're saying, girl, you can do it. That's not a hill. That's just a little slight incline. You are doing phenomenal. And let me tell you, that race was fantastic. And because of that, I decided I'm going to run a marathon. The marathon went a little differently than the half marathon. The trouble started when the pacer, my 5 hours, that was my goal, ran by me. And I was thinking, yeah, I can catch up. Peach was like, you can do it, girl, you can do it. And then the gentleman next to me, his inner Brutista came out as we were talking and running, and he said, you are never going to catch up with that pacer. From there, it went downhill until towards the end, I started walking, which I had never done in all of my practices. The worst part was when I was walking and I saw a gentleman in his 80s pass me and I was eating his dust. But as I neared the final round, I heard Peach Angelica. You can do it, girl. You can do it. You got this. It's right there. You can do it. And you know what? I did do it. We need both our inner critic and our inner cheerleader. But what would our lives look like if we flipped the percentage? If 80% of what we were thinking wasn't coming from a place of fear and lack, it was instead coming from a place of creativity and innovation and expansiveness, which is what the inner cheerleader totally is. That's what Peach Angelica is to me. So I have a challenge for you. Even though Halloween is over, Election Day is tomorrow for you, today for me. And that might be a little more scary than Halloween. As we all have these emotions come up that we're dealing with, no matter what we believe, no matter which candidate we support, no matter what unrest looks like in the country, I have this challenge for you. Take a piece of paper and write a line down the center. And on one side, if you have repetitive thoughts that are negative, write those down. And then write a statement next to it that could find the good in that situation. What I've realized through working with my inner characters of Brutista and Peach Angelica is that the more I catch those thoughts as they're coming, the more I can take them and I can transform them from Brutista to Peach. And I would love that for all of us. Thank you.
That was absolutely marvelous. Thank you so much, Jackie. Lloyd, may we please have 1 minute on the timer? Okay, he's starting.
That's a minute, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Tonight, Vicki will be starting her fourth path and pathways. The path is motivational strategies. This is the icebreaker speech. She will be speaking about what motivated her. Take it away, Vicki.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Yes, this is my fourth Pathways Icebreaker. And as you know, the icebreaker is a time to get to know me. So I thought, let's just settle in and we'll get real here. So as I was choosing this path, I had 11 to choose from, but 3 were already done. So what was I going to do? And I saw motivational strategies. And I got to thinking, what motivates me? Because in the field of self-development, we talk about motivation. and what gets people to do things. And I'm amazed that sometimes I don't have a clue as to why people aren't doing what they could be doing or what have you. And in that thing, it said that we would, in the path, it said that I would be doing projects about motivation. And I got to thinking, does money motivate me? Well, yes and no, because there's a lot more things in my life that I would do without money just to be able to do them. Yeah, I volunteer. That doesn't pay me, but I enjoy what I'm doing. And so that's what motivates me, is the connection with people. And I was like, okay, so connecting with people, how else does that motivate me? And I got to thinking, my Toastmasters meetings, what motivates me to get on every week is to hear your stories, to find out more about you. I have learned about Jackie so much since we've gotten on Zoom, and she has been doing speeches and finding out about her. And it's just amazing. And that was what was motivating me. But the reason why I chose this path was because I had to. Toastmasters was giving me $20. That's money. I guess that money was motivation, because they dangled it in front of us and said, hey, you renewed your dues. You get a free path. And I thought, well, people are going to be asking me, how does this work? How do we get our free paths? And as some of you know, as you move up in your path, the projects become a little bit longer and a little bit more cumbersome. And I was at a point in my other path that it was going to take a lot of work and effort in order to do a speech tonight, when I had told Lloyd on Thursday, I want to give a speech, because I realized after we had done the awards, what motivated me is I am way behind in my speeches. I'm usually way further ahead, but I have kind of dropped off giving as many speeches because of the other volunteering that I'm doing in Toastmasters, which is fine, but I wanted to get back in it. And then realized, what speech am I going to do? And what motivated me was I had to choose a path. And I was so excited when I chose motivational strategies. I'm going to get an idea of what motivates other people. Is it money? Have you all jumped on the Toastmaster website and grabbed your $20? Or are you just going to throw that $20 away? Because that's what's going to happen if you let that path expire. So I not only am motivated, but I want to inspire my fellow Toastmasters to get that $20 and get that path, even if you haven't started on your first one, because now you're going to have two and you'll have options. So when you get stuck on one path, you can't say, oh, I can't give any more speeches. You've got that other path in order to work on. I just want you to know that Toastmasters is one organization that helps you grow and motivates me. And I always say, motivation is like a shower. You need it daily. Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Vicki. Lloyd, may we please have 1 minute on the timer?
Will do.
Thank you.
That's a minute, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Everyone tonight has spoken so eloquently. I applaud you. Let us move on to table topics. I will introduce Eric Stepper. Take it away, Eric.
Thank you, Joyce, Ms. Toastmaster. Our theme tonight is democracy in action. How apropos. Remember the word of the day is eloquent. Campaign signs. On our block, we have a cul-de-sac, and the guy 2 houses down has a big Trump sign and a big flag, and you can't even see his yard because there's so many signs blocking the thing. Across the street, there's a sign that says anyone but Trump. Just next door, a new one popped up that says Biden Harris. And then there's one down the block that says any sane adult. Campaign signs. Do you put campaign signs out? Do you think they're effective? Give us your opinion on campaign signs. Steve.
I think campaign signs are a great thing. They've got those little supports. You can stick them in the ground about anywhere you go. You can tape like a target over them and use them for target practice. It's a great way to go. You don't have to run down to the store and spend a lot of money on campaign or on target shooting signs. You can just take your neighbor's campaign sign out of their yard. They probably won't mind terribly anyway. The effectiveness of those things, I always wonder about that. I just kind of hand in hand with advertising. Was it Christina? Did you say something to me the other day about like you listen to like 12 commercials and at the end of what the commercial is, it was cute, but what was the product they were advertising? That's where I think campaign signs go. Does it influence me to 9 people on my block that have John Hanson for their choice in their vote? Is that going to influence me? No. Individuals' attitudes and thoughts and desires and directions for our communities and our country are what's going to influence my decision and who I vote for. I think they're just wasting a whole lot. And then there's the people who they're a slam dunk anyway, and then they're putting out their signs. It's like, hey, why didn't you keep that money? You could have bought dinner for friends instead of wasting money on a bunch of signs. Like, now what are you going to do? Now what are you going to do with those? You got like 10,000 of them sitting in your driveway, and you're just going to foul the landfill with them because there's no place else to use them. I think it's a big waste of time. Just do what you're going to do, promote yourself in a reasonable manner through publicity, and then call it a day.
Thank you, Steve. We visited my mother this fall, and she lives in Manzanita on the Oregon coast, and there's a whole string of little towns there. We were coming back from dinner, and there was a sign in one of the yards that said, "Vote for Floyd." Campaign signs. We've got this big controversy now about mail-in voting or voting in person. I loved it when we would go down to the armory and we have all the old ladies there and they have the coffee and the knitting and you engage in this conversation and socialization. That's all gone. But now we have this controversy about mail-ins and legality and all that kind of stuff. How do you feel about mail-in versus in-person versus all this controversy? Lucas.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. I believe that especially during COVID, everybody has gotten used to the virtual world. And I think that going in and voting is part of being a part of the community and being involved in the democratic process. And so I feel that going down and voting and engaging in that is your obligation as a member of society. So I'm all for going down and voting. But that being said, given the circumstances with COVID, I do think that if people need to stay home and don't want to go out and expose themselves, that they should have the right to send in their ballots and vote. I think that it should be your right to choose. And either way, the most important thing is that you participate and vote in the election and have your voice heard. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Very eloquently put, Lucas. Thanks for joining again. We have 3 evaluations. Everybody has had a chance to speak, so I will turn it back over to Toastmaster Joyce.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I love our meetings. I am going to introduce the general evaluator, Rob.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. We are going to hear from our evaluators after the speeches that were presented tonight. And so we are going to start with our first evaluation. Please welcome back to the podium, Christina Stepper. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you, Rob. It's my pleasure this evening to evaluate Kathleen's speech, to share my observations and thoughts with her. Again, I encourage all of you to share your thoughts with her as well. Kathleen, I thoroughly enjoyed your speech. It was well organized. You had great vocal variety. You used pausing effectively. You used variety in relationship to the screen. You lean in, then lean back, lean in and lean back. I appreciated that. Gestures were where we could see them. They were appropriate. I especially appreciated your enthusiastic face and your smile. It was evident that you have thought this through and you are passionate about this proposal. You also did a good job of making eye contact with the lens of your computer rather than with the faces on the screen. Good job. I enjoyed the descriptive word pictures. You created the image in our minds of Barcelona, then brought us back to Wenatchee and transferred that vision onto our familiar area. I appreciated that. Eloquence abounded through your speech. You used these phrases and many others: flanked by the Wenatchee River, a swath of the area people will be attracted to, hallmark of future development. I also appreciated that you ended your speech with a call to action. You said, send me a chat, let me know what you think. That is a great way of engaging your audience in your idea, in your proposal, keeping us thinking about it after you have completed your speech. One suggestion, minor. You had a great speech. I had a hard time coming up with anything. Perhaps begin by inviting us to mentally leave Wenatchee and come to Barcelona with you. For a few seconds there, I was thinking maybe your project was going to be in Barcelona, and I was wondering how I could sign up to come along. The best thing is that you got your wish. You survived. It was a great speech. Thank you for allowing me to be your evaluator. Mr. General Evaluator, back to you.
Thank you, Christina. Our second evaluator this evening is Mary Syrie. Please welcome back, Mary.
Thank you, Rob. Another speech by Jackie, and I really enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun, Jackie. Now, for my evaluation, I'm going to take 3 of the points that your other club made mention of and see, what my opinion is on how you improved. There were comments on your introduction and conclusion, needed a better tie-in between the two, give us a stronger hint at the beginning so the audience knows where you're going. What I loved about your intro, as far as giving a hint, when you said, I hear voices in my head. Now, I liked it because it piqued my interest. I was a little concerned about this, but you resolved the ambiguity when you talked about acting. And so I thought that was really effective. You did have a line there it seemed, I think maybe it was in the Toastmasters introduction, why there are more actors at this Toastmaster meeting than you might think. And I don't think that tie-in was still really strong. It got me interested, but I don't know why we said that, why you said that. But it's a good line. Save it for another speech. Put that one aside. Somebody said the characters were lost on me. It got a little confused. For me, in version number 2 of the speech, I just had trouble because the audio got fuzzy. And I think it's your distance, and I don't know how to resolve this, but perhaps it was your accent. Maybe it was the Southern accent that just doesn't carry well over this media. She is very soft-spoken. Maybe that's what my problem was, but I had a hard time hearing. I didn't know who the 2 ladies were for a while until you repeated their names. Actually, I thought it was Frangelica, like the drink, and Brutista was the inner critic. But I like the characters. I thought they were very effective, especially that 80-20 thing. I've got a devil and angel in my head. You've got these 2 ladies. Someone said the timing and pacing needed improvements. It seemed a little rushed. I didn't think it was rushed. I thought your pace was very relaxing. Mostly it was a moderate pace. You slowed down when it was necessary, and you sped up and got a little bit louder when it was appropriate. And you had effective pauses, especially when you talked at the bikini role that you were auditioning for. And what shall I do? You had this nice long pause, and then you said, I'm going to run a 5K because Frangelica told you to do that. Your vocal variety was also very effective in this. Here's the other line I really liked. Election day is scarier than Halloween. How eloquent. Lots of emotions emerging. So your other club loved the challenge, and I liked it too. So look for the good in bad situations. Now, in conclusion, Jackie, maybe you can help me with this. For the past week, I've had an earworm in my head. I've been listening to Reelin' in the Years by Steely Dan. So maybe you have some way of getting rid of that every night. Oh, wait a minute, one more. You wore a white top against a white background. So you changed your top, and I think it looks very nice. That's it. Good job.
Thank you, Mary. We had one more speech this evening. Therefore, we have one more evaluator. Please welcome back Ron Slaybaugh. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you, Rob. Hey, everyone. I will be evaluating our 3rd speech, or Vicky's speech, this evening. It was her. It was her 4th icebreaker, and it's been a while since Vicky's presented, and it got me thinking back to Vicky was an avid member of our Electric Toasters group, and she would give speeches quite often, almost like what we see Jackie doing here. And one of the talents that Vicky had, and I saw it again this evening, is to put a speech together pretty quickly. Vicky, you mentioned that you thought about this last Thursday. Well, I better go ahead and give a speech. There's one slot. And you didn't have to put a whole lot of thought into it. Yeah, and it took me back to electric toasters, and yet they're effective and you can hit all the basics just like you did this evening. For an icebreaker, usually we're learning a little something about the speaker. In this case, we got to learn something about what motivates Vicky. Money motivates all of us to some degree. Coming to these Toastmasters meetings, learning a little bit about the rest of us, all really good stuff. Why we should be motivated. The topic itself certainly could have spoke for longer than 4 to 6 minutes if you had that, but you didn't. What I would have liked to have seen perhaps is, and I don't know if you can do it in your setting there, is to, if you could stand up, great. If not, just move back a little bit, because the one thing that I missed from, again, the presentations in the past is gestures. Vicky is really good with her hand gestures, and just being this close to the camera didn't really have that opportunity here. But all the rest of the things that make a speech a good, effective speech, I thought it was clear. I saw that the rest of the audience was interested and seemed aware. Of course, Vicky, you were very comfortable up there giving the speech. You had great pauses and great vocal variety. Your voice is crystal clear. Made eye contact with us, of course, even moved around just a little bit. I thought overall it was good. Something else that I like to comment on when speeches have it, and yours did, is a good introduction, a body, and a conclusion. I liked your intro. Let's get real here. I thought that was pretty cool. Left no doubt that, hey, we're going to get started and let's go for it. And at the end, hey, a little bit of humor, and we can always live with a little bit of humor, right? Folks, remember that? It was motivation is like a shower. We all need one daily. Great job, Vicky. Thank you much. Back to you, Rob.
Terrific evaluation, Ron. Thank you very much. The next report will be from our timer, Lloyd Smith. Welcome back, Lloyd.
Thank you, Rob. We did pretty well tonight on timing for the 3 prepared speeches. Kathleen, you were 6:35, Jackie 7:18, and Vicky 5:02. For our 2 table topic speeches, Steve, you were 2:07 and Lucas 1:09. For our 3 evaluations, Christina 2:48, Mary 4:01, and Ron 2:40. Mary mentioned, it surprised me to see Mary go over because you're so good at timing usually, but she chatted to, or sent me a chat saying that she had pinned Jackie's screen so she couldn't see my signals. And I thought something like that must be going on, because I thought, whoa, this is not like Mary. Anyway, we did a good job tonight with timing. Back to you, Rob.
Great. Thank you, Lloyd. Next, for an eloquent report, our grammarian will report on the use of the word of the day. Please welcome back Ian Adams. Welcome, Ian.
Thanks, Rob. Nice last chance opportunity to toss in a word of the day there. Speaking of word of the day, Rob, 2 times, nice job. Pat, you got it a couple of times. Joyce used it twice as well. So did Eric. And I picked up once each for both Mary and Christina. Excellent job, everybody. And not only an excellent job of using the word, but nice job using it correctly and in multiple variations of the word. There was a lot of color in tonight's speeches, and some of them have already been, some of the statements that I wrote down have already been picked up in the speech evaluations. But a couple of the things that I found interesting was something that Lloyd said. He said all natural organic option when he was talking about the cigarettes, and it just felt like that was a bit of an oxymoron. Rob, I loved Wizardess of Awe Counting. Thanks, Lloyd. The Wizardess of Awe Counting. That's there's a children's story in there somewhere. Pat, you had something that I thought was great, but I happened to be writing down the fact that you used the word of the day a couple of times, and I immediately forgot what you had said. So kudos for getting something that was notable, but I just didn't get it noted. Kathleen, you had a ton of color in your speech. Like I mentioned, Christina mentioned a few of those in her evaluation. One of the things that I really keyed on was tumbling out of their confined spaces. That was kind of interesting. You could just really picture somebody, rolling out of this tiny little box or something. You also said we could repine. And that was an interesting word. I actually had to look that word up. Vicky, you had a couple as well. Rob actually, I'm sorry, not Rob. Ron actually just mentioned them both, but motivation is like a shower. You need one daily. That was pretty interesting. Definitely debatable, but interesting nonetheless. Let's just settle in, then we'll get real here. I like that go-getter kind of attitude that you had there. Eric, how apropos. Had to look that one up too. It's been a while since I'd heard anybody use that word. And Mary, I loved the phrase resolved the ambiguity. Nice job, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you, Ian. Last but not least, let's get a report from our awe counter. Please welcome back Pat Whitfield. Welcome, Pat.
Well, between being a wizardess and having such an immemorable statement that no one can recall, I'll try to be very specific. Ian was clean. Christina had one Mary had an and a but. Rob had an and so. Joyce was clean. Steve had 3 likes. Lloyd was clean. Jackie had 2 buts and 5 so's. Vicky had, oh mercy, 8 ands, 1 well, and 2 so's. Eric was clean. Pat said Kathleen was clean. Steve was clean. Ron had an and a but. Lucas had an 3 ands, an and so, and a so. That's enough nitpicking for one evening.
Thank you very much, Pat. My role as the general evaluator is to evaluate the evaluators and also kind of give a brief summary or evaluation of the meeting as a whole. I have to commend the evaluators this evening. They were very positive. They were all wonderful speeches, but the evaluators really spun a positive response to those speeches. And even in their critiques, it was hard for me to really say that they were negative. It never crossed my mind that these were negative critiques. Rather, they were very, very positive. And I hope that the speech givers take those to heart. One of the things that I discovered tonight, Kathleen, I think that Steve has figured out what we can use for the base for the pedestrian promenade. It's all the political signs that have to go somewhere. So I think we've solved a problem here in our community, here on our Toastmasters meeting this evening. Jackie, I just want to say your speeches are always a delight, except that I never know who is coming to the speech that night. There are so many of you in that tiny little body that it concerns me that I don't know exactly who I'm talking to, but it's always interesting to find out who shows up. Vicky, I was very motivated by your speech. And in fact, I'm going to be one of the speech givers next week. And overall, I have to say this group they're so comfortable with each other that we can, you know, give a little dig here or there. Jackie, I love your top, even though Ron said you were in your jammies. There was a lot of humor and comedy tonight. The only thing that I didn't like is that Lloyd instilled a craving in me for menthol cigarettes, and I hope I get over it soon. And that's my report. And so I'm going to turn this back over to our president. Please welcome back Ian Adams.
Thanks, Rob, and the rest of the evaluating team for great evaluations tonight. At this point, I'd like to call for a vote for whoever your favorite speaker is of the evening. And Rob, would you do us the honors of collecting those votes? So please, everybody, send your vote to Rob, and he'll tally those, get back to us here after the next comment section. I'd like to thank Lucas for coming back. It's nice to see, as somebody said earlier, that we didn't scare him off last time. And Lloyd, is there any comments from you this evening?
Sure. While we're waiting for the tally from Rob, Rob actually produced a really good illustration of what the Toastmasters program is supposed to do. The idea is guided practice coupled with individualized feedback, all wrapped in a supportive atmosphere. And this meeting tonight was a really good illustration of that, I think.
And I have one comment. I need Ian, Ron, Mary, and Lloyd and Lucas to stay on the line after the meeting.
I have a question for Lloyd. Aren't all cigarettes plant-based?
Well, yeah, that's what I thought when I read the ad too, but they're making a pretty big deal out of it. You know, it says here 100% plant-based menthol. I personally can hardly wait to get my hands back on this. I think I'm going to become a smoker now. I've been persuaded by this ad.
Mr. President, we have a winner. There were several people who garnered votes, even Bertista, but the winner tonight was Kathleen McNulty. Congratulations, Kathleen.
Thanks, Rob, and congratulations, Kathleen. That was a fantastic speech. And congratulations to the rest of the speakers. You all spoke very eloquently tonight. Because we are already over time for the evening, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and we will see you all next week. Thank you very much.
Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.